Dystopia warning, obviously. Birthday edition. Yeah, that's right. Today is my birthday. My birth anniversary, if you will. An undisclosed number of years ago, yeah, the grains of time are falling away like wet cake at a rate of knots at this point. No, you're having an existential crisis. Anyway, an undisclosed number of years ago, on this very day, I strolled out with my mum, didn't I? Gnawed through my own umbilical cord, struck a match off my mum's leg in order to light a cigar, and then slowly raised my tiny middle finger and said, "The Tories." Alright, some of that might not have happened. It'd be cool if it had though, and weird. Now I'd like to say a massive thank you to everyone that's wished me a happy, anniversary of my shunting into the world today. It's really helped to ease, the reality that I'm starting a kind of gradual, well not so gradual, a descent into elderliness. Some of you made it trend on Twitter. Now the last time that I managed to get something to trend on Twitter, it was Johnny Minge. Johnny Minge. He's having a bad time, isn't he? He's kind of creating these kind of like David Brent style, series 2 of The Office in the car, like sad videos lamenting his life. Except he's even less likeable than David Brent. Because it is my birthday, I get to make requests, don't I? And I'm going to use the opportunity to implement a little bit of emotional, not blackmail, blackmail's too strong a word. I'm going to guilt you. But before I do, I'd just like to call Rishi Sunak a tosser. For, the obvious reasons. But also for calling a snap election now. Which means that I have to spend my birthday in war mode, helping to topple his corrupt government instead of getting bang on the cocktails. So the emotional prodding that I'm going to give you today is to tell everybody that they have until 11:59 p.m. on the 18th of June to register to vote in this general election. That's less than a couple of days away. Go into the, friend group chats, go into the family group chats if you dare, go into the work group chats. There might be a couple of, Reform or Tory voters in there. Tell them that they don't have to register. No. And tell them that polling day is the 5th of July. Because if they believe the Conservatives or Nigel Farage, they'll believe fucking anything. Once you've registered to vote, make sure that you have the correct ID. And if you don't have it, apply for a free one. Because they're trying to rig elections and disenfranchise people for not having ID. But they're obligated to provide you with a voter authority certificate, which is essentially just a barrier in your way to voting that they assume you're too lazy to bother with. You've got until the 26th of June, and my large head is obscuring that the time is, weirdly, 5 p.m. That's the cut-off point. And then once you've done those things, head over to stopthetories.vote and find out your tactical vote, i.e. the person who is best placed to, metaphorically, kick a Tory off a cliff. Now there's a lot of voter apathy about at the moment. Yeah, some of it is enraging me. After what we've been through for 14 years, there's people literally saying that they know that the person they're voting for hasn't got a shot in hell and it could help a Tory get back in, but they're going to do it anyway. And those people to me are frankly akin to Tories. If you're going to do the thing that's going to let a Tory in knowingly, hate to break it to you, mate, you're a Tory. There's people saying I live in a safe Tory area, so there's no point voting for their alternative. Yes, there is. People saying, I live in a safe Labour area, I'm not going to vote Labour because I don't have to because they'll win anyway. There's no guarantee of that. In case you hadn't noticed, not just over the last 14 years, but in the last couple of weeks, all hell has broken loose. This isn't the time to fanny about. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get the Conservative Party not just out of power, but destroy them. We get to enact the ultimate revenge upon them. If we all just do the thing. All you got to do is do a thing. Turn up, do a cross. And we have the resource to help you out with that, yeah. For the love of God, please don't lose your head at this point. I know there's a lot of mad shit going on. Your vote absolutely does matter, especially if you're a woman. Yeah, because women died to fight for your right to vote. You spent 14 years being shafted by posh lads. We have been the biscuit in their game of soggy biscuit, They pickpocketed us as we died. They've stolen billions from us. And there's people out there thinking that Nigel Farage, of all people, is the answer. He's the reason we're so broke as a country. Yeah, because Brexit is and was always going to be an absolute skip fire for our economy, which is basically laying shagged in a ditch at this point, thanks to the Conservatives. Party of fiscal responsibility. My arse. If you want to know what the country would look like under a Nigel Farage government, which thankfully it'll never happen, but if you do want to get a kind of rough idea of what that would be like, take the last 14 years, times it by 1,000 in terms of how bad it is, add in excessive amounts of extra racism and division, more theft of public money, and there you are. But there'd still be some people in their sycophants going, oh, I'm living in a sackcloth, surviving on rats that have, that I find in the garden, that I've had to cook over, an old barbecue. But Nigel Farage is the kind of bloke I'd go for a pint with. This country has a stupidity pandemic. We used to laugh at the Americans for their conspiracies. Now people gobble them up like greedy hens. Think critically, for the love of God. Right, now I've imparted that important information to you, which is very simple. Register, get your ID, vote tactically. A few people have said to me, oh, now you're old, Tan. Now you're an old nan. Do you have any pearls of wisdom? I might, but frankly, I never learn. So it'd be a bit hypocritical for me to try and, impart that wisdom onto other people. There's the basics, obviously. If you go back to someone's house and they haven't got books, don't shag them. Don't buy or read The Sun or the Daily Mail, or if you do decide to read it, treat it like the comic book it is. Well, not so much comic book, it's like one of those trashy magazines your mum would have, like Take a Break, where it'd have he murdered my entire family but I still love him on the cover. That's essentially what the Daily Mail and the Sun is, except billionaires own it and they're trying to brainwash the population into believing absolute bullshit in their interests and the Conservative government's interests normally. So, yeah, don't believe the bullshit. What else? Be nice to each other. If someone's living their life in a way that's different to you, just let them get on with it. If they're not hurting anyone, it's got nothing to do with you, has it? And that leads me neatly on to wishing everyone a very happy Pride Month. You have my solidarity and support always. The government's put you through absolute hell over the last couple of years, hasn't it? Another sentiment that I'd like to express is people are all we've got. It's pretty hard to remember that when it seems like everyone's becoming more stupid, believing mad things, falling into these divided little factions. But we've only got each other. Together we have collective power. We don't have to put up with what the government does to us. And my final bit of advice is, I don't want to be predictable, but it should go without saying, but never, ever fuck a Tory. Unless it's metaphorically in a general election. Now, if you excuse me, I'm off to go put my entire face in a cake. Thank you again. I love you.